The newest Nintendo Direct focusing on Pokemon Sword and Shield delivered even more than I expected. I'm sure there's plenty of people that hate the raid battle since they were influenced by Pokemon Go, but I think Dynamax Pokemon are pretty neat for no other reason than getting to see a giant Pikachu in the anime eventually. Plus, in addition to that monkey wrench being thrown into the battles, the wild areas look cooler than anything you'd find on the 3DS. And I'm really glad to see that roaming Pokemon are being brought back from Let's Go. The new Pokemon we've seen so far look alright, and personally, I'm happy that we haven't seen the final forms of the starters yet, because if it were up to me, I'd personally rather not know what they look like until I actually play the game. Sure, you might end up hating what you chose, but I like the gamble and miss not knowing. But all things considered, I think the core games to Pokemon Sword and Shield will both end up being great.
The greatest! Yeah!
However, the main thing that was mentioned in the Direct that really ruffled my feathers was the emphasis on local multiplayer while explaining the raid battles. I know they mentioned online play for like a second, but unless I missed something, they consciously avoided going into further detail on that, kinda like how my new wife Fanny avoids telling people about her husband. It just kinda felt like that for whatever reason, they can't provide awesome online features that are standard in 2019 on anything that's not a Nintendo platform. But that begs the 802nd most important question of all time. What online features does Pokemon even need? Well, make yourself comfortable, get behind the wheel of a car to enjoy this video to the fullest potential, press the subscribe button if you haven't already, and allow me, YouTube's second least sexy man Cameron, to tell you why Sword and Shield's online will suck, and what it would need to be great. For those of you who think Sword and Shield's gonna have awesome online options, just know that rather than being pessimistic, I'm really just trying to soften the blow when it's confirmed how limited these options will actually be. Cause even though some Switch games' online features are acceptable at best, most are just flat out disappointing, with the most recent example being Super Mario Maker 2 not letting you play online with your friends. So if I could prevent riots caused by the inevitable disappointment, then by God, I've gotta try. And as lame as the online features for most Switch games have been so far, I think underwhelming online play for Pokemon's way more frustrating because it's been a staple in the franchise for well over a decade now. The Pokemon games I was most excited to play were Diamond and Pearl, and the main reason for that was because the Nintendo DS was capable of online play. I wasn't expecting it to have a lot of depth or anything, but all I really wanted was the option to do traditional 6 vs 6 battles with people after I finished the game. But this is Nintendo we're talking about here, so of course you had to jump through all kinds of hoops on the internet to get other people's friend codes. I bit the bullet and battled my ass off in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which is the most fun I've ever had playing Pokemon. But then Black and White literally advertised random Wi-Fi battles, and I was even more excited than my wife was when scheduling appointments with the pool guy Eddie, which I don't really understand since she doesn't like swimming now that I think about it. But anyway, when Black and White finally came out and I finished the game to transfer my old party up, I was met with a gut punch when I found out that the random Wi-Fi battles could only be done with 3 vs 3 instead of 6 vs 6. You could also do double battles, which is how official tournaments do it. And I know 3 vs 3 keeps things moving along faster so you can battle more often. But as far as Pokemon battles go, I prefer the long chess matches way more than I do the frantic style meant for people with ADD. In my opinion, if you lose a 6 vs 6 battle, you have no excuses, whereas 3 vs 3 battles almost always give one player the advantage for certain situations due to the limitations. Whereas 3 vs 3 battles almost always give one player an advantage for certain situations due to the limitations. Black and White still let you do 6 vs 6, but you had to go to random YouTube videos and exchange friend codes still. The 3DS games made it possible to do real battles with strangers, but even then, it still wasn't as convenient as using the matchmaking system that you could use for the quicker and less fulfilling battles. I do see the advantages to all these different battle formats, but regardless of what you prefer, we should still be given the options as to how we want to battle rather than the phoned-in experiences we've had up until now. Typically, I don't even like competitive online games that much, but if there was ever a franchise that deserved it, Pokemon's right at the top and could set the world on fire if done right. But the most frustrating part about it all is that it'd be so easy for Nintendo to do right if they weren't busy thinking they were protecting children. And with the Switch having parental controls, there's less of a reason for them to be overprotective than ever before. Not to mention that kids already play games online anyway, just not on Nintendo's platforms. So I don't know why they can't just give us competent online gaming. If Nintendo were a football player, they'd plow through everybody on the field only to drop the ball at the 10-yard line, poop on the ground, and then just roll around in it for no reason at all. They've made so many of the greatest games ever made, and underwhelming online aside, Sword and Shield do look incredible as single-player games. They definitely seem well worth $60 each, so it does feel a little bit weird to complain about something that could technically be considered a bonus. But again, there's really no excuse not to deliver competent online gaming in 2019, especially for games like Pokemon where it could benefit greatly. The Pokemon Direct mentioned how important it'd be forming strategies with your allies for raid battles, and I literally laughed out loud at the idea of trying to strategize without speaking. Although, to be fair, it'd be difficult to do that anyway if you connected with a stranger who spoke a different language. But even if you're allowed to play with your friends via the internet, which I'm sure you're going to be able to, it's still unacceptable that we'll have to use an app on our phone just just to communicate. Raid battles, as well as trainers just working together in general, does have a lot of potential for online gaming, but that's only if Game Freak does it right. And I don't know if their history of underwhelming online play is due to laziness or restrictions given to them by Nintendo, but proper online play in Pokemon would make assloads upon assloads of money, even if there's no cooperative journeys or MMO-style post-game adventures, which I do think should definitely happen one day. I do at least think Sword and Shield needs better battling options, because everybody in the competitive scene uses different rules anyway, which can be really frustrating for people who for some reason think Garchomp's an Uber to be forced to battle with them. And what about people who are nostalgically attached to certain generations? What about people who want to do Little Cup battles? What about making new tiers up for fun? What if you like Z moves but hate Mega Evolutions and Dynamax forms? Well, why not just give people the option to create their own custom preferred rules like in Smash Ultimate? I mean, would it really be that hard to let players select Pokemon they believe should be banned based on whatever website's rules they choose to follow? If there's millions of people playing, then you should still be able to find random battles, even under the weirdest conditions. And I think that leaves the door open for some interesting things. And this is really more of a personal complaint than anything else that you might not agree with, but I'd be so happy if there was an option to get rid of the team preview, because to me, half of the fun is figuring your opponent's party out. And I think it's hilarious that the same generation team preview was introduced in was the same one where Zoroark debuted, the Pokemon who disguises himself as another party member. Plus, in addition to being the worst trick of all time, it also lets you know another Pokemon your opponent chose for a 3 vs 3 battle. But anyway, even though there's endless potential for playing Pokemon online, I think the things I've asked for are pretty reasonable. But anyway, given the fact that there's literally endless potential for how you can make playing Pokemon online cool, I don't think any of the things I've mentioned are unreasonable. And I have no idea when Nintendo's gonna get serious with online gaming, but I am positive it's gonna happen someday. Because if you think about it, there's really not all that much they need to do to make it happen. Until then, it's gonna be a frustrating ride though, especially for Pokemon fans like myself who want to partake in more competitive battles, but just don't feel like jumping through all the hoops. But I'll tell you, 2 people who never make you jump through hoops are today's patrons of the day, Aaron Ayala and Korzeth, which I hope I said right. Or if you'd rather show support by picking a shirt or mug up, then send pictures or videos of you rocking it to make a cameo like these badasses right here. Anyway, what do you want out of Sword and Shield's online though? Do you think it might actually be good? Are you ready for the inevitable disappointment? Or do you not even care about playing Pokemon online at all? Either way, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll try my goddamnedest to respond to everybody. And if you want to help this channel grow, then simply liking and sharing goes a long way. My name's Cameron, and I'll see you next time.
So I want to say thank you to your loyalty. Thank you for your support.